As Nora Seed takes her final breath, she finds herself in the Midnight Library, a place in which time stands still. The library is a second chance, an opportunity to make things right. Up until now, her life has been full of misery and regret. She feels she has let everyone down, including herself, but things are about to change. The books in the Midnight Library enable Nora to live as if she had done things differently. With the help of an old friend, she can now undo every one of her regrets as she tries to work out her perfect life. But things aren't always what she imagined they'd be. Before time runs out, she must answer the ultimate question. What is the best way to live?
Hello and welcome to G That's Good. I'm Beth G. This is the channel where I provide you with short but detailed book reviews without the spoilers. Today's book is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I'd like to start off with a bit of background about Matt Haig. So at 24, Matt Haig was standing on the edge of a cliff in Ibiza with the intent to end his life. Fortunately, he didn't, and he's spoken publicly of his battle with depression. The Midnight Library certainly has echoes of someone that's been through something. It's written with such truth. It's the first book I've read by Haig, but it certainly won't be the last. Okay, so what's it about? Our main character, Nora, is feeling like she has no worth. She believes she let everyone down, and as the last few things she felt she needed to live for disappear, she does too. We come into this book with essentially a really broken character who feels like she has nothing to live for and therefore decides to take her own life. Between life and death, there's a library, and inside that library, there's the opportunity to change everything. She ends up in this, I suppose, limbo with her old librarian who is like, I suppose, a representation of a guardian angel and is trying to help her to find a life that is worth living. She's presented with this gigantic book of regrets, and hers is really, really heavy and almost impossible to read just because it's, well, I mean, it's probably not much fun reading all the things that you kind of regret in your life, right? Essentially, this book is about what's the best life to choose if you had the choice. It's a story based on what ifs. What if I hadn't given up swimming? What if I hadn't broken up with him? Would my life have been any better than it is now? I'm pretty sure if you did break up with him, totally the right decision. So as Nora finds out, there's versions of her life with every single eventuality that she can think of stored in these magical books. She's given the chance to read them and then literally dive into the pages and assume that life of her choice. And as the reader, you're transported with Nora into each life she chooses. In essence, when you read this book, you're not just experiencing the story of the library, but also multiple strands of short stories. It's a hard read. I don't mean that in terms of it's difficult to get into. Basically, I almost cried in the first chapter and had to hug my cat. There's so much despair in this book, and Haig does a wonderful job of lifting that from the page. I promise you, this is a heartwarming tale. It will take you on an emotional roller coaster, but ultimately you will be better for reading this because of the message behind the story. It's so important. This is one of the most gripping books I've read, not in the sense of twists and turns like a classic thriller like Insomnia, which I reviewed previously, but in the sense that he makes you care so much about Nora from the very beginning that you can't put it down. You need to know what happens. Because there's so many alternative realities to Nora's life, the pace of the book is relatively fast. You might think that having little short snippets weave within might make it harder to follow or to empathise with the characters, but it really doesn't. This is Nora's story, and as you venture into her books and into her lives, you really bond with her. You feel what she feels, whether it's joy or hopelessness or even fear. And ultimately, you learn the lesson that she learns. One thing I did struggle with this book was visualising the settings. I don't know whether that's because you bounce from one place to another, so there's less time to invest in imagining the surroundings, or if it's Haig's style to focus more on character. And I wouldn't say that's a negative, just an observation. I suppose he's painted the characters so well that the canvas behind them doesn't need the detail. The only criticism I would have, perhaps, is that I would have liked more description of the library. I did struggle to visualise that one. I think it would have been helpful to have a better picture of the library towards the end, because I think it becomes quite important in one scene. in one chapter. It's not a film. I am clutching at straws. I bloody love this book. You'll enjoy this book if you like fantasy, drama, and heartwarming emotional roller coasters. I think most people would enjoy this book because who can honestly say that they've had no regrets? Like, they haven't laid there in bed and thought, well, what if I'd done that? This book made me reevaluate how I looked at life, and I think that's pretty damn special. That's deep. So I'm giving it... Whoa, before we hear the verdict, here's a reminder of how the rating system works. 1 star, gee, that's bad. 2 star, gee, that's okay. 3 star, gee, that's good. 4 star, gee, that's great. And the ultimate 5 star hits the G spot. I'm giving it... Yep. It's just gonna hit the G spot. I hope you enjoyed listening to this review. If so, why not give it a like? And if you really enjoyed listening to my ramblings, you could subscribe. If you think I missed something out of this review or had a widely different opinion or just want to say hello, you can comment below, please do. I hope this review was helpful in making your next book choice. Either way, happy reading and see you next time.